All right, joining us now is former state senator Nabilah Parkes, who is now running for lieutenant governor. Senator, is it okay if we still call you that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Welcome. Thanks for making the time to talk with us here at 11 Alive.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today.
You have been quite busy. You just launched this campaign not too long ago. Let's start with the biggest question right off the top. Why do you want to be Georgia's next lieutenant governor?
Well, we have to lower the cost of living in the state of Georgia, and I will fight to protect our fundamental freedoms like reproductive rights, voting rights, and make sure that we actually expand healthcare in the state of Georgia. Right now, the state Senate has gone off the rails. It's the extremism there is very potent, and we need to stop that and fight back because the state is going backwards. I'm running to be the next lieutenant governor to bring people together and to fight for kitchen table issues that matter to Georgians.
What's the number one issue facing Georgia right now? You just laid out a lot of them, but when you look at the state as a whole, what is the number one challenge facing Georgians?
Georgians need to save money. The cost of everything has gone up high, like everything. Childcare, housing, groceries. And people are struggling to live. You know, I'm the daughter of working class immigrants that grew up paycheck to paycheck. So I definitely understand the lived experiences of people who are struggling right now. And that's why when I was in the state Senate, I fought to eliminate the sales tax on menstrual products. On I tried to bring back the school supply tax holiday. I tried to get rid of the sales tax exemption on diapers. And so I've been a fighter to lower the cost of living for Georgians and for the last 4 years, and I'm going to continue to do that as lieutenant governor.
You pointed to some of the legislative efforts you were a part of under the Gold Dome. Looking forward now, if you are elected lieutenant governor, what specifically would you do to advance your goal of lowering costs for Georgians? And I ask that because, you know, we talk to a lot of politicians and a lot of candidates, and affordability is kind of the buzzword for everybody right now. What specifically do you think can and should be done to alleviate some of that price pain that Georgians are feeling?
Absolutely. Look, I introduced a bill to lower property taxes that was revenue neutral by making data centers and insurance companies pay their fair share. Something that wouldn't have to increase the sales tax, and that's what Republicans are doing right now. Let's lower property taxes, but do it in a smart way. Let's also make sure these corporations aren't buying up all these houses in Georgia and thereby increasing housing prices in this state. Let's make sure that we actually have affordable access to health care for Georgians so that they're not going to the hospital and paying out of pocket and when they're sick. We need to make sure that health care is accessible. We need to make sure that being able to rent a home is accessible. I'm a renter. The cost of rent has gone up really high. We need to make sure buying a house is accessible in the state of Georgia. And at the end of the day, I became a parent recently. Let's make sure that childcare is more affordable. And so these are some of the issues that will be on my agenda when I'm the next lieutenant governor.
A couple minutes ago in your opening answer, you referenced extremism at the state capitol. What specifically do you mean by that?
Well, most recently, my former colleague, State Senator Greg Dolezal, came out with a disgusting video depicting Muslims as terrorists, an AI slop video that was purely put out to fearmonger and bring more hate towards American Muslims. I'm a proud Muslim woman, and when I saw that, I was so hurt. I was so angry that my own Senate colleague would peddle that type of hatred into the state Senate in the state of Georgia. And so I'm running to be a lieutenant governor that will unify people and not throw people under the bus just because they're different. You don't get to treat people less than just because they're different from you. When I'm the lieutenant governor, everyone will be treated equally, and I'm not going to discriminate someone because of their faith, because of their race, or because of their ethnicity.
And you're talking about this ad that Senator Dolezal posted, who is also a candidate for lieutenant governor on the Republican side of this race. He said in a post accompanying that ad, I just want to quote it here so we're all on the same page about what we're talking about. He said, in part, "London has fallen, Europe is under siege. In America, the invaders who would rather pillage our generosity than assimilate are roaming Minnesota, New York, and L.A." Went on to say, as lieutenant governor, I will fight the enemy before they're within the gates and keep Georgia safe and Sharia free. Your response to that?
I can't believe he's saying these things. They're so hateful. Muslim Americans are Americans. We're Georgians. We're public servants. We're teachers. We're doctors. We contribute to the society. No matter what your faith is, no matter what your race is, or what your ethnicity is, you bring value to the state. You should not be discriminated. We are a a society of different races and cultures. We're a diverse society, and that is a strength. That is an opportunity. And it is sad that Senator Dolezal sees it as a problem. I see it as a strength to be embraced and to celebrate. And so he should not be. I'm running because people like him are running to be the lieutenant governor, and this type of extremism has no place in the state of Georgia.
I want to ask you another question on the topic of sort of the state versus the federal conversation. Obviously, lieutenant governor is a Georgia role. It's a statewide role, but we are existing in a moment where our politics, often under the Gold Dome, reference national political conversations as well. As part of your post announcing your campaign for lieutenant governor, you wrote that masked ICE agents are attacking our communities. In your view, how should immigration enforcement be handled in our country and in our state?
Look, I believe immigration laws should be enforced, but what ICE is doing is not working. They are killing American citizens. They are terrorizing our communities. They're wearing masks, so you can't even identify who they are. Georgia is made up of so many communities, and our immigrant communities bring so much value. And it is heartbreaking to see little kids who are being parentified by this situation, afraid that their parents won't be home when they come home from school. They're afraid to go to school. We're seeing a decline in people wanting to leave their houses to actually, go to businesses and buy products. This type of fear that is being trafficked into our state across this nation has been heartbreaking. And what Donald Trump is doing right now with immigration is not working. The vast majority of people that they have arrested that are quote unquote criminals do not have a criminal background. And so this is not the way to do this. We need immigration reform, and we need a path to citizenship.
When you talk about not having a criminal background, I suspect some Republicans may push back, and they would say that by crossing the border without proper documentation, that was an offense that makes those individuals eligible for deportation. What would you say to that pushback?
I would say we need to focus on actual crime, like the murders in our streets, the rapists in our streets, the people that are breaking into our cars and in our houses. That's the type of crime that we need to focus on.
What role and what power would the lieutenant governor have to influence the operations of federal immigration enforcement agents?
So I would say as lieutenant governor, you can shape the direction of the state with your agenda. And as a lieutenant governor, you have, I would say, the second biggest platform in the state. So I will use my microphone to talk about the hypocrisies that the Republicans are doing in this state that are hurting our communities instead of empowering them.
Let's talk about politics a little bit. You're a Democrat. It has been a long time since a Democrat held statewide office in Georgia. What makes you think that now is the time Democrats can flip the lieutenant governor's office?
It's a long time coming, and Georgians are ready. Democrats are ready, and we are organized. We just saw those key public service commission races flip for the first time in decades last year. We saw in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district that the Democratic share was 40%. It went up by 4%. In 2024, it was 36. So the excitement is palpable. People are going out to vote. They want to exercise their right to vote, to feel like they can combat the extremism that we are seeing from this administration, that we are seeing from these MAGA Republicans who are lockstep with the MAGA Republican agenda.
You are obviously paying close attention to national politics as well as state politics, as we'd expect from anybody who spent time in the state legislature here. You, correct me if you feel this is inaccurate, but you are part of a younger group of Democrats in elected office. And the Democratic Party has been having a lot of conversation internally about what the standard bearer or maybe bearers are for the future of the party. There's a progressive wing, there's a populist wing, there's a centrist wing, there's a moderate wing. Where do you see yourself in the Democratic Party?
Well, I've always considered myself as a progressive Democrat, and I have fought for issues, as I said before, to lower the cost of living for Georgians, to fight for reproductive freedom in the state. Heck, I even sued the governor because I wanted him to investigate the election board in 2024 when they were trying to delay the presidential results. I think it's important to have a diverse ages in government, but we need more young people to step up and run. And I'm glad to see this trend because we are the folks that are actually living through so many of these crises that are happening right now. And I'm going to fight that much harder because I'm living through it.
Let's talk about this campaign, and let's talk about some dates on the calendar, because if I have this right, you announced your campaign for lieutenant governor on March 5th. That's just a little over 2 months away from the primary date. Why did you decide to launch that campaign when you did?
So initially, I was running for an insurance commissioner. And the more I thought about it, I wanted to do more. I've always run for office to do more good for people. That is like the heart of why I do things, because I want to make the biggest impact. And as lieutenant governor, I'm still focused on lowering insurance costs, lowering premiums, but it would allow me to continue the fights that I've been fighting for in the last 4 years in the state Senate, and fighting for all of our communities and fighting against this extremism and racism. And so I've launched this campaign, as you said, March 5th. I'm someone that has won 2 tough races in the state Senate. I flipped a swing district blue. I've been targeted by the Republicans both terms. I know how to win tough fights, and I know that even with 2 months, that we're going to put together an operation that is not only going to win this primary, but is also going to win the general election and make sure that we flip these races up and down the ballot for Democrats.
We've been talking a lot about your time in the state Senate. You referenced your experience in the state Senate. You also chose to resign from your seat representing District 7 out of Duluth. You resigned from the state Senate on March 13th. Why did you decide to resign?
So my resignation does not change the balance of power in the state Senate. Right now, bad bill after bad bill after bad bill is being passed. It is atrocious. And I'm running to be the next lieutenant governor to stop these bad bills, to stop this extremism that we keep seeing. Also, another thing is, I am not independently wealthy. I wish I was, but I can't just give myself loans like my opponents have. And so as a woman and a woman of color, you got to work 10 times harder to raise the resources to have a competitive campaign. And so I am running now to make sure that we win this nomination, and so that we can put together the best candidates up and down the ballot to win the general election in November.
You talk about the need to raise resources. I think some people who are not super close watchers of Georgia politics may not know this. You do. Most Georgia lawmakers under the Gold Dome can't fundraise during the legislative session. If I'm hearing you correct, is it your position that your decision to resign was motivated by an effort to begin fundraising immediately?
It was motivated by an effort to jumpstart this campaign, to talk to voters, and also, yes, to fundraise. You need resources to run these TV ads that you guys run. And it's important that you have a well-funded campaign, because the Republicans are raising millions of dollars. And so it's hard to fight with their hands tied behind your back. And so we decided that this was the best and responsible thing to do in order to win this campaign.
We are approaching sine die, the final day of the 2026 legislative session. This is crunch time under the Gold Dome. What would you say to some constituents who may feel like by you resigning, they lost their voice in the state Senate at a pretty pivotal time in the state capitol?
I would tell them that I am fighting to change that. Because right now, all those bad bills that are coming through the Senate are going to pass because Republicans have the majority. I am sick and tired of this, and I'm running to change that because the extremism is out of hand. The anti-immigration sentiment is out of hand. The anti-women sentiment is out of hand. Women are dying because of our state's regressive abortion policies. We need to stand up and fight back, and that is what I am doing, so that come next year, we don't have to, email and call our representatives not to pass this bad bill, because I will help shape the direction of the state in a positive way and unify Georgians.
And we want to be respectful of your time, so I think we'll wrap up in a moment. But I do want to ask a follow-up to that. I suspect some people may hear your answer and say, heck yeah, I agree. I anticipate, and I would imagine you would as well, some other people may hear that and say that all may be true, but you could be having those fights right now as a legislator still as well. And by resigning, you're no longer a part of that lawmaking process right now.
Sure.
What would you say to those folks?
Listen, I've been a part of that lawmaking process for the last 4 years. I have fought the good fight against Republicans. I've taken the fight to them. I have challenged power and authority. I feel like I've been a good senator. I've been a present senator and a vocal senator. And again, in order to change what we're seeing every single day in that chamber that is so hateful right now, with people like Greg Doles all putting out AI slop against Muslim Americans and other groups of people, we need to fight back. And the way that we can fight back and stop this is by electing a Democratic lieutenant governor in November.
We've covered a lot of ground. Let's end here to a voter who has got to make up their mind, and they got to do it quickly because they've only got a couple months before this primary. Your elevator pitch to an undecided voter would be what?
I would say it is important that we elect leaders that understand our lived experiences. And as the daughter of working class immigrants from Bangladesh, I know what it's like for a family to live paycheck to paycheck. I know what it's like to work your way through college with the help of the Hope Scholarship, and I became the first college graduate in my family. I know what it's like when your mom is out of a job because she got hurt on the job and her insurance didn't want to pay her benefits. I understand the struggles of everyday Georgians, and that is why I'm going to fight that much harder when I'm the next lieutenant governor to lower the cost of living, to protect your reproductive freedom rights, to protect your voting rights, to expand health care in Georgia, to expand Medicaid, and lower the cost of child care. And as the first mom to give birth in the state Senate, I understand intimately that we need to fight for moms and working mothers.
Former state senator and now candidate for lieutenant governor, Nabilah Parkes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.